It's been a little bit since I've been able to do one of the rip pack or mystery box coin videos, but a new one came out just this past week that I was able to participate in. And so I've got a video for y'all now where we look at the first, as I think it's the first at least, of the Couch Collectibles coin rips. And we're going to see what they are, if they're worth the money, and what I got out of the 2 packs that I purchased from that offering. If you're watching coin videos on YouTube and you don't know who Couch Collectibles is, then your algorithm has you living under a rock. Because Couch Collectibles is one of the largest YouTube channels for coins that's been around for quite some time now. And Justin has somewhere around 850,000 followers on his channel where he publishes videos pretty consistently about different aspects of numismatics. But I saw he was offering these rip packs and I thought, hey, I'll buy a couple of them, see what I get out of them, and be able to review it in the process. So the way this is going to go, I'm going to talk a little bit about the packs that Couch Collectibles was offering as well as the channel, and then we're going to see the first of my 2 opens, and then we'll talk a little bit about the statistics to see what the chances of winning are, and then we're going to see what I got in my second pack. And one of these packs surprised me, so I have a feeling it's going to surprise y'all as well. As I said, Couch Collectibles is a huge YouTube channel devoted to coins and collectibles, and Justin seems to really like stuff like rip packs and mystery boxes, as he is an affiliate with Ultra Breaks that I've made numerous videos about, so we're not even going to touch on that very much in this video. But he is a big fan of that kind of stuff. Cards, where you can open them up and see if you get one of the rare cards in there, as well as coin rip packs, where you might get one of the rare coins offered in the offering. Now, anyone who's watched my channel knows that's something that me and Justin probably don't see eye to eye on, because I personally think you should buy a coin that you actually want for a fair value, instead of buying a chance to get a coin that you might not actually get, and possibly lose money in the process. However, as I've always said, and I'm going to say again right now, if you have extra money sitting around and you're going to blow it for some other form of entertainment, like going to the casino or maybe buying, baseball card packs, and this is just a fun way to have some fun, then yeah, I don't have a problem with this kind of stuff. It is kind of fun to see what you pull out of the pack. But if this is your whole coin budget, you can invest that money into a solid coin that you know has that value in it, or at least somewhere around that particular value, and have something that has a good chance of appreciating over time from the value you purchased it at, instead of gambling on a chance to get something more valuable than what you paid, but possibly getting something that's much less valuable than what you paid. But one thing I do want to mention is I'm going to be treating this differently than Vault Box, Ultra Breaks, and Witter Brick for a reason, and I want to establish that now. There weren't hundreds or thousands of packs being offered in this particular group. There were 60. And it wasn't a big company with this massive spread of all sorts of stuff that you could possibly get. It's a YouTuber, probably with a very small group of people around him, who was making 60 packs, only 60 packs, for people that seem to follow him in YouTube and on whatnot. So even before we get into the statistics and numbers, I have a feeling that Justin had a higher cost per item in this particular lot of coins, because he only had 60. He doesn't have the quantity to really reduce the value there in the packaging, the time, the buying, all that kind of stuff. The quantity wasn't there, so I don't expect to see those small percentages over the values like we would see in like Witter Brick, where there were over 4,000 coins, or Vault Box, where you might get like several thousand of those, because this was a little more specialized and a little more niche, and that factor of it being a YouTube personality who's got a following doing this, and a few other things about some of the coins he sells, I don't feel like it would be appropriate to just say it's exactly the same as these other rip packs. Justin sold and then opened all these packs live on Whatnot, and he offered them all at auction. He started the first ones out at 150, and those sold for a little while. Some even did over 150, up into like 160 range. But then as they started kind of dwindling, he dropped the price to start at 135. He did that for a little while, and as that dwindled, he eventually dropped the price down to start at $1 and see where it would end up. I don't think one went for under 130. I'm pretty sure they all went for 130 and up to about 160 from what I saw. But when they went at a true auction starting at $1, most of them went between like 130 and $145. So I got into the auction late because Foley Coin Shop was running an auction on Whatnot, and I was involved with that. But when I got into it, I bid on the first pack that I had a chance to, and I got it for $135. And about 20 minutes or so later, I saw that the prices were coming back down into the 130 range because they had popped up a little bit. So I bid on another one, got it for $137. So after shipping and tax, I think I was at about $280 something for both of the packs. After all 60 packs were sold and paid for, Justin started opening them in reverse order. So the last pack sold was the first one opened, which meant my second pack was the first one that popped open. And here's what happened.
Here is Gulf Coast Treasure Hunter. Gulf Coast Treasure Hunter. Did get the Couch Collectibles 1 ounce American Silver Eagle. Does come with the COA signed by myself.
Yep, the first one was not a win. It was an MS-70 graded Eagle, but it was a little bit different because it had a Couch Collectibles logo on the slab from NGC, and it did have a certificate of authenticity that he made and signed. Now, for me, this is just an MS-70 graded Silver Eagle. It's nothing special, but this is where I have to say it's a little bit different based on what he's actually targeting. Remember, he's got just shy of 1 million followers on YouTube, and he's got a following on Whatnot. So, to somebody who's a real fan of Couch Collectibles, having one of those ASEs with the logo on it and a signed little card with it might mean something. So that might have more value to that person than to somebody like me who just sees it as a different label, like somebody's branded logo on a slab from NGC. Also, Justin only made 250 of these slabs, which is artificial scarcity, but still it is a scarcity to it. For some people, that is meaningful. I have some things that are signed in my collection that to most people, it's just the item that's signed, but to me, it means something more. So to people who are big fans of Justin, this could be something more. Okay, so let's run through what items were in these packs and what their values were really quick as I can with 60 different items. Thankfully, some of them were duplicates and some of them can be kind of lumped together. First off, let's look at the top coin. That's an 1893 $10 Eagle. That's, almost half an ounce of gold. He had it priced at $1,950, which he got from PCGS Coinfax. Gray sheet on this is $14.91, CPG is $18.50, but realistically in an MS62 grade in a PCGS holder, that's going to be pretty much a melt value coin in reality. And in fact, all the ones that have sold recently, they have sold at melt value when they're purchased at auction. 62 is a grade where when you get this high of gold prices, premiums just evaporate, and you can buy a 63 for not that much over melt, and a 64 for a decent amount over melt, but not crazy. So 62 just becomes that grade where it's just a piece of gold practically. It'll be a $1,465 coin today. The next highest value was that 1991 double struck cent, which is actually a really cool double strike. This is one that is extremely hard to price. I think $450 could be a retail value for that. It's in a 62 red, which isn't a great grade, but it is red, so there's just so many complicating factors with errors, and they're not consistent in their sales price on the market, so it's hard to know where this coin would sell when it realistically comes to auction, but somewhere between $300 and $500 probably is realistic. I don't know, honestly. So we're just going to go with his number and estimate it might go a little bit lower, but it could potentially be right. Now, he had the 1900 over CC Morgan dollar priced at $320, but realistically, that's overpriced. That's PCGS's price guide, once again, which is always way over CPG for some reason, it seems like. But realistically, gray sheet is $225 on the coin, and $290 is CPG, which is full retail. So I have a feeling that's going to be about a $240, $250 coin when it actually sells. He had a 1/20th gold Libertad, which he priced at $255, which was pretty realistic. They sell between $213 and $260, so $255 probably is a retail number. Now, the 2024 proof 1/20th ounce gold Libertad in a proof 70, I think it was a PCGS. No, it was an NGC holder. Those don't do as hot, actually. He had it priced at about $270, but they do realistically between $200 and $230. And the last one he actually listed a value in his list on was the 2016 1 gram or 10 yuan gold Panda, and it was in an MS70 NGC holder. And that one he had listed at $200. They sell between $130 and $160, so I would say a retail valuation is $160, but they do sell lower as well. Now, the Morgans and Peace dollars are pretty easy because they're all in a grade that's accessible and puts them about the same pricing, apart from that 1900 over CC we already talked about. So a lot of those other Morgans are going to either be like a $58 to $65 gray sheet with an $80 to $90 CPG, or they're going to fall just a little bit lower to like a $55 gray sheet to a $70 CPG. So full retail on all of those Morgans is between $70 and $90, but none of those are ones that really often sell in those solid retail numbers because they're all really accessible grades. And you can pay a little bit more for a lot of those and get a nicer coin. So MS64 peace dollars are pretty common, and MS62 Morgans are very common for all of the years that they were available for this particular lot. The Walking Liberty half dollars he had were also very easy. They all had a gray sheet of $45 and a CPG of $60. They were all Philadelphia 43, 45, and 46 Walkers in MS63 holders. As for the 4 Franklin half dollars he had, 2 of them were 1962 proofs. One of them was a proof 67, which has a gray sheet of $28 and a CPG of $38, but one of them was a proof 64, which has a gray sheet of 18 and a CPG of 24, making it one of the 2 coins that realistically doesn't sell over $20 in this lot. The other 2 Franklins were a 1956 and 1959 Franklin half dollar in an MS64 full bell lines, which sounds like really nice, but when you realize that's a common grade for those 2 dates, the gray sheet value for both of those is 24 and the CPG is 32. There are 2 Eisenhower dollars in this offering. One of them was a mint state that was actually in a decent grade for an Ike. It's a 1976S Eisenhower silver, uncirculated coin from the uncirculated silver set, and it was an MS67 in NGC, and its gray sheet is 45, its CPG is 60, but realistically when these sell in the market they don't pull those numbers. It's a $33 to $42 range coin, and there were 2 auctions that actually hit $16 and $19 within the past 3 months. So this is a coin that does not do well on the market because 67 is still an accessible grade. And the other Ike was a 1976S silver proof in a proof 69 ultra cameo NGC holder. But sadly, even though it's 69, that's not a great coin because there are a lot of 69s out there. Its gray sheet is $18 and its CPG is 24, making it the other coin on this list that sells for under 20 bucks because they consistently sell between 10 and 20 bucks. There were 5 various silver coins offered: a 2023 Nayu Thomas Edison 1 ounce and an MS70 NGC holder. I couldn't find comps, but AppMex and eBay were asking 70 bucks on these. Also a 2012 Canada 1 ounce Year of the Dragon in a Specimen 69 NGC holder. There have been 2 eBay buy it nows for this coin a couple years ago at 75 bucks, but they don't sell very often. It's hard to know. Also a 1988S proof $1, the Olympic one. It was in an MS69 Ultra Cameo holder. Gray sheet's 28, CPG is 39. They don't sell on that high side usually. Also a 2024 Mexico 1/10 ounce Libertad in an MS70 NGC holder. Buy it nows have it at about 40 bucks, but realistically they sell between 20 and 30 at auction. The last one of those was the 2014 P Baseball silver $1 MS69 PCGS slab, which is the one that's like concave. You know, it's really cool looking coin, I'm not gonna lie, but in an MS69, even though it's a silver dollar and it's cool looking, it still is a $33 gray sheet and a $45 CPG. You have to get it in a 70 to really have a solid value. And lastly, he had 2 different coins that he had numerous of, so I can bulk these together. He had 9 Sasanian Empire silver drachms. That's a really thin silver coin from the Sasanian Empire. They weren't graded, they were just in an NGC genuine holder. When they're not graded in an NGC genuine holder, they range from $45 to $75 when they're sold on eBay. When this coin is raw, it's exceptionally hard to sell for 20 or 25 bucks. I know because I've had plenty of them. But, you know, when they get into an NGC holder, for some god-awful reason, ancients just go to the moon. But anyway, they do sell $45 to $75 on eBay, so, you know, it's about a $70 coin, roughly. Also, that 2025 Couch Collectibles slabbed MS70 NGC American Silver Eagle that you saw me get in my first pack, he had 15 of those in this offering. Gray sheet and CPG aren't friendly to this coin. It's a $43 gray sheet, $60 CPG. Realistically, it doesn't add a lot in the real market value of it, but to certain people it might add value. So looking at this list and taking retail numbers, not even taking like what they actually sell for, just off strict retail, If you take $150 MSRP asking initial price, even though they sometimes auction lower, and even with the lower selling prices around $130 to $145, there were still 7 coins that would still lose $100 right off the rip because they were $40 or less in full retail value. But seeing as though both of these coins consistently sell between 10 and 20 bucks, that's more like 90-ish% of the value lost, and potentially even more than that. So that was a really, really low floor on a pack that the MSRP was $150, even though they sold lower at $130 to $135 sometimes. There were only 6 coins that were really going to get you out of the value of your purchase at a retail valuation, and that's going to be the gold coins, all the gold coins, the O over CC Morgan, as well as the 1991 double struck cent. But when we get down to brass tacks on that, one of the gold coins sells for $130 to $160, so it's really more of a break even than it is actually a win. 3 of the coins were moderate wins, getting you between anywhere from like 200 to 300 bucks. One of the coins, the error coin, it's really hard to say, but I think 450 is a strong retail number on that. As I said, it's hard to price errors. That's not easy. So I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 450. So it is a decent win, but there was really only one coin that you could really win on, and that was that 1893 $10 Liberty Eagle. Now it is full MSRP of 150 bucks. 60 packs would come out to $9,000 in retail sales. But seeing as though they didn't sell that high, let's just say they averaged at 138, that would be $8,280 realized of sales. Now, this is where it gets a little bit complicated for what Justin had going on, because remember, he's selling them on Whatnot, so he's not getting all of that money out of it. He has some fees involved. Whatnot's not just letting him sell them there for free. To mention, he's got packaging involved, and he's not doing a massive number of these things. He's only doing 60. So I can't imagine the packaging cost on these little packs was that cheap per item. Seeing as though there are only a small number of these, he probably put in a good amount of time, not just the hour and a half that he was sitting there on the computer selling and opening these packs, but he probably put in a good amount of time getting like the marketing set up for it, where he like advertises it and stuff like that, any kind of graphics, designing the packs. If he had other people working with him, he's got to pay them too. So realistically, he probably had a lot of overhead on such a small number of packs. I don't know what that is, but still, it's probably something. Not to mention those NGC labeled Eagles. I'm sure he paid NGC a decent amount of money, even though he probably bulk graded 250 of them. He probably still paid NGC a decent amount to get Couch Collectibles on one of their slabs. So comparing this particular offering to like Witter Brick or Vault Box or Ultra Breaks in their price over CPG for their packs is complicated, because yeah, Witter Brick and Vault Box might have somewhere like a 5 to 10% margin. It's really hard to tell, as I've said from my other videos. You can watch that for that. But realistically, when you get into such a small batch, there might be a lot of overhead for him. But it still seems like there's a very big profit margin here, even with all of that he had going on. Because when you look at the CPG value of the packs, they total at $4,829 if you base it off of like CPG, and on the coins that don't have a CPG, you go off of like high market, what they sell for, buy it now kind of numbers. And then gray sheet numbers would be like $3,700 on all of these coins. But no less, we see a gray sheet number where the estimated actual sales value, estimating about $138 a pack, was realistically like 56% over gray sheet. And we see a CPG number of $4,829 compared to that same $8,280 potential sales valuation, where it's a little bit under 42% over that CPG number. So even estimating there was a decent amount of expenses for him on this, it was still a very healthy margin, more so than what you see with Witter Brick and Vault Box. But once again, this is a little bit different. It's 60 packs. There's a 1 in 60 chance of getting the top coin. That's really good odds compared to the other packs, because when you have 4,000 of them and you're trying to chase one or two coins, those numbers are low. Those odds are practically feel like they're impossible. But when you've only got 60 packs, if you buy a couple of them, you have a 1 in 30 chance of getting the top coin. Those are great odds of getting potentially a really high value coin. But you still have a 90% chance of losing money, and it's not like there's some of them that just have a small loss to them. The next step down on a full retail value is $90 from that one coin that's in that break-even range. That's a 33% loss. So anything under that one break-even coin is a substantial loss. Anything you lose on is substantial, in my opinion. It's none of this like 10-15%. We start off at 33% loss and go up from there. And when you get down to the bottom one, we're talking an 84% loss, and those are full retail numbers. So realistically, where the coins are going to sell is probably going to be more like a 40 or higher percent loss on any of the ones that did not hit. There's another thing I want to talk about in this particular offering, the interest factor of the coins, the quality of the coins. There were a few coins that I thought, those were pretty nice. Because when you saw Justin's, little graphic here, you didn't know grades on any of this stuff. You just know it existed, and a few times you knew the retail valuation. So in some of them, you didn't know if it was a 69, 70 for those, proofs and bullion pieces. You didn't know what the 1893 $10 was graded at. So it's hard to know, what these coins were actually going to be worth going into it. The 91 double struck, it's cool. It's in a red grade. Thankfully, it's not a red-brown coin. It is a lower mint state, but it's still red at least. And it's in a PCGS slab. That one was impressive. The 1900 over CC was okay. It was lower in actual value than what his estimate was of 320, but if he's going off PCGS Coinfax's pricing guide, it's always going to be high for the most part, so it's understandable. It was an okay grade in an XF. XF is an acceptable grade for any coin where it's a little bit better. It's going to look good, but it's definitely nowhere near an optimal collecting grade. Same goes for the 1893 $10, which was the Chase coin. Definitely not a collectible grade for this coin. So anything mentioned over bullion price is strictly a book number, because realistically, it's a bullion coin in that grade. I feel like he could have gone for a 63 or even a 64, and that would have been interesting. That would have been exciting, but a 62, it was a half ounce of gold practically, just under it, so, that's cool. But advertising it as a collectible grade or putting any kind of collectible grade valuation on it is just unrealistic to the market on that coin. Having 70 grades on the other gold Chase pieces, okay, I can respect that, but it's hard to know these days with premiums where they're going to go because of the fact gold is so high. Libertads are pretty safe, but the Panda, being a small piece, it probably still has a solid premium, but it's hard to know in a lot of coins these days. But those seem to be pretty decent. As for about everything else, common grade Morgans, common grade Peace Dollars, common grade Walkers, Franklins, everything else was lackluster, in my opinion. For a lot of the Walkers and the Franklins, all he had to do was get the next grade up, and it wouldn't have been crazy higher premiums on them. Not to mention the Ike dollars. I got one with the Witter brick, and I laughed my ass off. I feel like anytime you have a higher value box or mystery pack, Ike dollars, unless they're like Top Pop or a solidly rare piece on the market, I feel like it's a joke, honestly. Ike dollars do not have much value in most grades. They're very common for most of the time. I feel like you really got to have something solid in there. And Ike dollars, I feel like, just have no place in a mystery pack when they're especially not a collectible grade like this. Now, I'm about to show you the open for that first pack I bought, second one that Justin opened, but before we do that, I do want to mention one thing. I have nothing against Couch Collectibles. I have nothing against Justin. I watch some of his videos on different stuff so that I could learn from him. So I do appreciate Couch Collectibles for its presence on YouTube. I don't want this to be a personal attack against him. This is not what this is. This is simply evaluating what he's offered in this pack, what it's sold for, what the valuations are, just to show you whether it's something you might want to risk your money on when you go to do a break pack, a tear pack, box, whatever the heck heck it is, a mystery drawing of a coin. And there is another factor here that is different from just some other company doing this, and that's the fact it's a YouTube channel. And if you do get value from the YouTube channel, you have that extra money to blow, and you like Justin, you really want to possibly get one of those signed cards with his logo limited edition ASEs, it is a way to support his channel. Look, I'm not monetized. I lose money every single time I make a video, just on my time alone. Not to mention anything I buy like this. I lose money. So I know that there's cost involved. I know the numbers aren't always great on what you get from the ad revenue. I don't get any yet, but I see other people and I see potential earnings from it, and I'm like, I'm excited to finally reach my number so that I can start making a couple pennies on every video I make. He probably has this more as a business, so he needs to make money. So this is a way he's making some money. I don't know what his ad revenue brings for him. Maybe it brings him crazy money, maybe it doesn't. I can't imagine it brings him a lot, because coins are never an area of YouTube that just gets like millions of views. He is one of the top channels for coins, but that doesn't mean he's making tons of money at it. I don't know his finances. I don't want to assume anything, but nonetheless, what I'm trying to get at is, if you like couch collectibles and you want to play around with some money and you want to take a gamble on something, I can't hit him for that as hard as I could like a coin shop or a company that strictly does this and they're constantly making money, because he has potentially some other areas of his YouTube and stuff like that don't make him that much, and this could be a way to offset it. I don't know. Nonetheless, the money that he's charging people for these packs is substantially higher than what the packs are worth, as I've mentioned. There's a big discrepancy between what he charged and what the retail valuation of these coins actually are. Take that for what it is. I don't want to sit there and tell you how to feel about it. I'm just trying to present you with the facts and potentially where you could give him some grace in this, because I don't dislike the guy. Okay, let's look at the other pack. I know you've been waiting.
All right, Gulf Coast Treasures. Here we go, Gulf Coast. Oh, Gulf Coast Treasures. It's the big gold. I'm sorry for everyone else. Man, there's still awesome coins left. 1893. $10 gold. Is Gulf Coast in the chat? Congratulations, my friend.
Yeah. As Justin said, he's sorry to everybody else, and I am genuinely too. I don't buy these packs to try and get the top chase coin. I buy them to be able to review them and show what comes out of them, statistically more often than not. And this time I beat the odds. I got the top coin, which, he valued at 1950 off PCGS's price guide. I value it about 1465 of what I'm realistically going to get out of it. I wanted somebody who actually was in there to get the big coin, honestly. They were excited about it. They put their money into it. I put the money in there expecting to lose. I was hoping to break even, to get one of the coins that would make it to where I at least broke even, maybe had a little bit of profit, but statistically I knew even that was unlikely. But having two packs and having a 1 in 30 chance because of the two packs out of 60, I still beat the odds pretty darn well. Remember, that's the outlier situation. That's not the norm. That's what I try and express to people. Because if you spend $135 to $150 on this coin pack, there are a lot of coins you could buy that were a solid $135 to $150 value that are super cool, and in fact much cooler than the vast majority of the coins on this list, or in grades of the same coins that would make them a solid, gorgeous buy. For $135 to $150, you could get an MS65 1881S Morgan dollar instead of an MS62. That's a stark difference and a gorgeous coin. You could buy a 1956 Franklin half dollar and an MS66 CAC full bell lines with a CAC sticker on it for less than $150. $145 is full CPG, and that's a stellar looking coin. Or for $150, you could pick up all 7 of the lowest value coins in this offering. That's 7 coins when you potentially won just one of them after spending $150. My point is always the same. I'm not against mystery packs. I'm not making these videos to say these shouldn't be made or that any one of these companies should stop making them. I make these videos so you'll know the kind of stuff that's coming out of them, and you can be able to assess whether it's worth your money to take a shot on any one of these packs or boxes before you buy it, and whether you want to risk that money on that potential win. But as always, I still believe buy the coin, not the holder, and not the chance to get the coin and the holder by not knowing what the heck you're actually going to get when you actually open up the pack that you receive. If you got the extra money to blow, have fun with it. I don't have any problem with that. It is fun. But if you're dipping into a limited coin budget to be able to take a risk at getting something good, you're much better off buying a really solid coin and a solid grade at the price point that you have available to you, and picking a coin that would fit in that price point but still be a really good collectible grade coin that's got solid sales history to it. I want to see collectors have solid collections with solid value that a dealer would be excited to buy from them because they know they're coins they can resell at a solid price. And when you take a risk, you really don't know if that's going to happen. So something to think about before you jump into the next mystery box or pack. If this video helped you think more about coin mystery packs and boxes, I would greatly appreciate a like. Also, if you want to see more videos like this where I open up mystery packs and boxes of coins and see what comes out of them, as well as run the numbers and statistics to see if it's really worth the risk, be sure to hit the subscribe and notifications buttons below so you'll be notified when I post new content. Thanks for watching the videos, and good luck in the next mystery box if you end up buying one.